Last week, I walked you through how booth life started, the ups and downs of my booths, and the hard decisions I had to make. In this week's episode, I'm going to dive into how I became a content creator and really how I finally just hit that record button and my YouTube channel was created.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock, and I want to thank you all for joining me today as you get to know me a little bit better in the first few episodes of my podcast. If you missed the last couple episodes, what I covered in episode 1, I covered how my business started and how it transformed into a storefront. And then in episode 2, how my storefront closed after 3 years and how booth life started. So if you guys want to catch up on those episodes, definitely check those out. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to dive right into how I became a content creator and really how my YouTube channel started. If you have been following me for a while, you'll know for the first, I would say, 10 years of my business, I was juggling a full-time job along with my small business. So it was a lot, you guys, juggling both of those. And I get asked all the time, like, how did you honestly juggle both for that long period of time? And looking back, I often wonder that same thing. I really do. I think about it and I just realized I must be pretty good at time management and just juggling a lot of balls. I don't know. I think about it and I'm like, if I would have taken that step to not have my full-time job, that would have helped grow my business so much faster. Maybe. I mean, I think everything really happens for a reason. And I was at the time when I finally made that decision, it was the time in my life that I knew that my business was sustainable enough that I could leave that full-time job, and I felt good about it. But honestly, my husband calls me the Energizer Bunny. I feel like I'm a lot like my grandma was. I just can't sit still. I always have to be doing something. I'm always on the go. Even when my husband's like, "Come on, let's just watch TV together and relax on the couch." I'm still doing stuff, you guys. I can't just sit still. I feel like I'm a couch potato then. And so, even on downtime when we're watching, our shows at night, I'm still like brainstorming and doing stuff for my business. I don't know. I just cannot, sit still. So that's just a little bit about something about me. Um, but I think that really helped me in the beginning, managing or juggling a full-time job and my small business and really getting it going. And now leading into like the YouTube channel, I honestly, that idea of having a YouTube channel never even crossed my mind. Since my main focus initially was my brick and mortar and just keeping that going and then transitioning into booth life and then being on the road, I mean, that was my main focus. I mean, that never even crossed my mind. So, like the first time that I was able to really catch my breath and think about things in a different light was when my whole business slowed down during COVID. And my business model definitely changed. I realized that these were my 2 income streams, being on the road and my booths, and I had nothing else. And I'm like, "What am I gonna do? I need to create other income streams if I ever want to leave my full-time job." And that's really when the brainstorming started, when life slowed down, where I didn't feel like I was being so reactive of like restocking my booths, always being on the road, restocking my on the road, my truck for being at the next event. I was able to take a step back, really reevaluate things. And I really believe, you guys, that some people You're just destined to meet certain people to help push you forward in your life. And honestly, if I had not met my friend Brendan, I would not be here today. I would not have a podcast. I would not have a YouTube channel. I would not be in the DIY world. I would probably still be on the road. I honestly, I don't know. I can honestly say I would never have started a YouTube channel without Brendan. Um, so he definitely changed the trajectory of where my small business is today. And you may ask, like, how did you meet Brendan? Well, I actually had at my full time job, I would mentor a lot of the new folks that would come in, and I was able to mentor him. So he was a newbie coming into our department, and I would take these new hires and basically take them under my wing and show them the ropes. And one thing that I discovered is once COVID hit, things definitely changed. New people coming into the business really felt like I wouldn't say segregated, but they felt they did not have they just didn't feel the same as, like, if the new person would be in the office. I mean, they were all by themselves at home. They couldn't just jump over into my cube and ask me a question. So I just tried to always make them feel more at home in the company. And so one thing I would do is I would always ask him a lot of questions. Like, I wanted to get to know him better. I wanted him to realize that we were friends. He could rely on me. We could talk about all things, work related. And if he had to just, blow off some steam about something else, he could call me as well. And that's kind of how the office environment was, where, you would just pop in and say, hey, like, what's going on? This is what I had for lunch. And, we chat about all the things. When you're not in the office, you can't just easily jump over to somebody's desk. So I wanted all of the individuals that I mentored to feel like they had that where they could call me and we could chat about other things other than just work. Um, just to make them feel more like acclimated to the business. So, anyways, so I started to find out more about him, and really quick into our friendship is we had a lot of things in common. Both of our families are from Wisconsin. We love going up north. We love going boating. We love fishing, all the things. And we just hit it off. So we became really good friends just on that aspect of it. And then once we started talking about all those things, Brendan is a really good salesman, you guys. So he flipped the coin and then he started asking me questions. And so I opened up about telling him about my small business and how I was juggling, a full time job and my small business. And, like basically, like everything that I told you guys in episodes 1 and 2 about where my business started and how it got to be at that point in my life. And his first response to me after listening was, "Why don't you start a YouTube channel?" And there was like crickets because I'm like, what would I do with a YouTube channel? No, I mean, like, I think of a YouTube channel as like how-to videos, and I just could never figure out initially, like, how a YouTube channel would be something that I could provide to my customers. Like, what would I show them or tell them? And, again, being the good salesman that he was, he proceeded to give me all the benefits of having a YouTube channel. And I started to laugh. And if you guys have been following me on my lives or even on some of my videos, when I get nervous about something, I have this nervous laugh. And it's the thought of doing something that kind of made me a little bit ill. It was definitely would be something I would be stepping out of my comfort zone. And I had really no idea where to even start. And so, I said, "Oh, thanks for the idea. I appreciate it that you're looking out for me." And I kind of like brushed it off, but he kept on bringing it up. And he's like, "Have you thought about it a little bit more? I've been thinking about it." And the reason why he was so set on a YouTube channel is because this was his dream. He was, in his early 20s, and he loved all these channels that he watched. And his dream was to start his own YouTube channel. And he had bought a lot of the equipment and he had done a lot of the research, but his niche was completely different than what my niche would be. So, but he's like, do some research, look into it. And again, he went back to like a lot of how it could benefit my business, like how I could get so much more exposure. And my thought process at the time was, I'm local. Like, I mean, why would I need exposure outside of Wisconsin or even like outside of like the Fox Cities area? Because my booths are local and, everything like on the road when I go to even vendor events, it's all local. So I guess I could find more people locally, and that's where, like, my brainstorming, like, kinda started, and then I thought, "Ugh, I will have to come up with a ton of videos." I started doubting, like, my ability as a creator. I started thinking about, a lot of the negative, like, what if I can't come up with something, and what am I gonna do?" And I started, like, that downward spiral, and I try not to do that. I always try to be really positive and upbeat and think about the positives of a situation. So, again, Brendan was very persistent and he kept bringing this up to me and he kept planting more seeds to this idea. And that is when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to try to figure out, where I want to take this. What can I do? So one weekend, I finally just sat down on the couch and I started to brainstorm. Like, I just started, typing in, like, different I pulled up YouTube on my TV, and I would type in, like, DIY, upcycling. I typed in, I was just trying to type in all these different words and see what channels came up and what, like other people were doing or what they, like where their channels were. The one thing I didn't want to do is I did not want my channel to be similar to other people's, which is kind of hard because other people there are it things cross over. I just wanted to do some like have like a niche where I would be different. And again, that's very, very hard, especially in like the DIY business or area. So I started like looking and researching, and finally I decided I'm going to step back from what I do and I am going to start looking at what other people are doing. Like I want to look at their videos and how they put the videos together. So I decided like I can't think about what I want to do at this moment. I am going to try to see how easy it would be to put a video together. So I just started researching like other videos, other like channels and how they like started their each video and how they ended each video and like the whole aspect of putting a video together. So I was doing more research about that. And then things started clicking. I'm like, okay, I could start my, videos like this, or I could do that. And I really liked how a lot of people like would tell stories. And so I'm like, "Oh, I could like, like showed little clips of different things." And I decided I could do something like that. I started like taking all the seeds that Brendan had planted and I started thinking about how I could apply them to my life and my business. And it was interesting. Like when I was starting to do all this research and about putting videos together, you guys, that is when I stumbled upon Think Media and Sean. And honestly, he changed like I say Brendan changed my life. Well, he did too in a way because I binge watched all his video and I learned so much from him. And he just kept saying, all you got to do is hit record. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to hit record? Oh, like, what am I going to say? And I had to finally say to myself, nobody is watching you. You're just recording yourself. Just hit record. Like, I kept thinking like, "Oh my gosh, if I hit record, people are gonna hear me, see me." And I'm like, "No, you did not put it out there, Sonnet. You can just hit record and practice." And that's what I finally did. I am just going to hit record and I am going to try to talk. And I remember the first time I did that, I'm like, I hit record and I was like, I don't even know what to say. And what am I going to talk about? And then I realized now I need to do more research and figure out what I want my channel to be about. Now that I have gotten enough like I am able to hit that record button. Now let's take it back to the drawing board and figure out what my channel I want it to be about. And that's when I was like, at that same time, I was offered Water Street Vintage. And so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to bring them along my journey of like booth life and some area, the different aspects of my business. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. So the first video that I did was basically of Water Street Vintage. So that's kind of where I started. Like, I'm like, I can do that. I can bring them along. And then another thing I got scared about was all the tech stuff. And I'm sure you guys are all thinking like, oh, there's so much tech stuff. And there really is. There's camera gear, there's editing programs. Oh my gosh, thumbnails. I have to create a thumbnail. I have to do intros, outros. And before I started doing any recording, I just dove into all things YouTube for a couple weeks. And I knew that I had like a month to get ready for Water Street. So I just decided to do as much research as I possibly could. And I watched just a ton of how to videos, like how to create a thumbnail, what should be on a thumbnail. And believe me, my early on thumbnails have completely changed to what they are now. And maybe I still need to tweak them and perfect them. I think that you should always be tweaking and perfecting everything and learning. Anytime, like in a small business, you're always learning and perfecting. And YouTube is a small business, is part of your small business. So then camera gear. And I was ready. I was ready, you guys, to buy a camera. I did a ton of research. Brendan had a camera too, and I was thinking about buying his. And then I decided, what if I don't like this? What if I invest all this money in gear and I don't like doing this? I decided then I am going to just use my phone. And I had an iPhone, and the iPhone's cameras and like the video portion of the equipment, it was phenomenal. So they have done so many upgrades that I started taping with my iPhone, and it was great. So that took care of the camera gear. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use my camera. I got my thumbnails down. Now, what am I going to do for editing? And that is when I reached out to my brother because he has a friend who, he's like the most amazing videographer. He does like he's just so good, you guys. And I said to my brother, could I have his contact info so I could reach out to him and ask him like what he suggests? I mean, he makes it look so easy. Obviously, editing is not easy, whether you have an easy software program or not. But he actually was really super nice. And he said, for somebody who is just starting off, I would recommend Premiere Rush. Most people use like Premiere Pro or some other high end editing software, and there is such a learning curve. And if you don't know you're going to do this long term, Premiere Rush is inexpensive. You can do it right from your phone, and it's very user friendly. So I downloaded the software on my phone. It's like an app, and I started playing around with it. And I did like some short videos of like Caitlin, and very quickly I was able to figure out how to pull in clips, edit, cut, do voiceovers, and it was very easy to use. So that's where I got a lot of the gear out of the way, or like the different techie stuff. One thing that I would recommend if you guys are considering starting a YouTube channel, that is all important, but lighting. I early on did not realize the power of lighting, and I didn't even have a ring light. I was like relying solely on like lighting, like in my home lighting, and I was like relying on bright days, and honestly, you can't rely solely on that. So I would recommend number 1, getting a good ring light right up front, and then I have these box lights too. So, it took a little bit, and if you'll know in my first few episodes or my videos, the lighting wasn't that great. And looking back, I kinda cringe on some of those episodes, but it was all worth it, you guys. It really was. It's a learning experience, and, if I never had experienced that, where I just think it's all about life experiences. So now moving on to my videos. So now that I had all that tech gear stuff and watched a ton of how to's, and I felt like pretty good about where I was going to take my content, or I thought I did. I thought, okay, the first 2 episodes, I can do this. My first episode is going to be getting ready for Water Street. And then my second episode will be setting up for Water Street. And I literally had my camera set up. I was doing all the things. I put out those 2 first videos, and, I got a couple watches. Yes, it started off very slow, and then after I got those 2 videos, I'm like, "What am I gonna do next?" Now I have to come up now it came where I was trying to figure out. I was being really reactive, like, "What is my next video going to be?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do a thrift haul. I'll go thrifting and I'll show them what I got." So I did that, and then I did a furniture flip, and that went over, pretty good. And then I did a video. It was like week 6, and I remember this because I had used this, like, denim blue chalk paint, and I had done a whole vignette, put the video out, and it kinda, like, semi blew up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting views, and I'm getting likes or subscribers, and things are going great." And next thing you know, I in that first 6 weeks, I had hit 1,000 subscribers, which was like I, like, almost fell over. So, one thing that I do is I set goals, you guys. I am a goal setter, to the end. I always like to feel like I have to-do lists and I have goal lists, and my goals for my YouTube channel were, if I could hit 1,000 subscribers in 1 year, I would feel like I had accomplished a lot. I would feel like I was famous, because that is your ultimate goal, is to hit 1,000 subscribers, and you want to try to get, like, monetized as well on YouTube, and that is having 4,000 watched hours. So typically, if you have 1,000 subscribers and you have a good amount of content, you should be able to hit that 4,000 watched hours. So I am like, "Oh my gosh." All of a sudden I hit that 1,000 subscribers, and I did not have 4,000 watched hours. So it took another couple weeks. I think it was like at week 8, then I hit that 4,000 watched hours, and I was monetized. And I literally almost fell over, you guys. I was like, "No way would I have ever thought that within like a couple months that I would have hit all those metrics." And so, I'm talking to my husband about it. I'm so, like, excited, and my daughter walks in and she's like, you know, to be famous though, you have to hit 10K." Like, "Okay." I'm like, "I am just excited that I have 1,000 followers, like, subscribers following me and watching my videos," and I felt so blessed, you guys. Like, it was the best moment of my life when I hit that. And, I'm like, "Okay, so I am going to just keep on going." And my next video came out. And this video I used music on. And this is where I had a big blooper. My blooper was, I did not realize that I guess I didn't listen to it all the way through after I had downloaded the whole video. So I'm talking, talking, talking. I add some music, but I didn't realize the music, like, went up, bam, like, so I'm talking, and all of a sudden this music goes blaring, and I almost wanted to take the video down, but that was like my second semi-viral video. that I just couldn't. I'm like, "Oh my god, people are still watching it. They like the content. I don't know why the algorithm of YouTube picked this up, but I can't take it down." But everybody, like not everybody, like a lot of people were like, "I was listening on my AirPods and all of a sudden you blew my eardrums out." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." So you have bloopers along the way, but you have some really great listeners. And one lady made a comment in that video that said, "You may not know this because many of us don't realize you are brand new on YouTube, but in your editing software program, there is a spot where you can turn the volume down." But I had no clue that there was like this up and down volume because I was still learning all the ins and outs of my software program. So I just kept on, just every week trying something new. And I was doing a lot of those videos. Like I was doing furniture flipping, some thrift flips. But then I did my pop up home market. I thought I'd feature that. I featured my antique up sale. I even dove into, because I have a love of gardening. I thought I would show like all my viewers like curb appeal, like container gardening. And that was a flop because I realized that once you start like creating a certain type of video on YouTube, that's what YouTube tends to look for. And so when you go and you throw in something completely different, it really throws like a wrench in the algorithm. So, anyways, I was kind of randomly just putting stuff out there. I was like kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck, what went over really well. I still didn't exactly know where my channel was going at this point, and just trying different things. And then I did a thrift to treasure, and it really took off. And once I started doing those and realized how much people loved seeing what I thrifted, what I would do to that thrifted item, my vision, things really started taking off on my channel, and my channel started growing really good. And I was excited. So after my first year of being on YouTube, I hit 5,000 subscribers, and I was so proud, you guys, when I hit 5,000. Every milestone I feel so proud of because I put in a ton of work into my channel, and it just makes me so happy when people are inspired, and I feel so much joy in, like, teaching and inspiring, and it makes me so happy. And I just really have a true love of creating and doing all those things. So that is really how everything transpired, how my YouTube channel started, how I finally niched it down to my I love doing thrift to treasures, thrift hauls. I love showcasing then how I take those items and put them in my booth. And I just don't have enough time to do I upgraded from one video a week to two, and there still is not enough time to really show all those aspects of my small business. So I know like sometimes when I start doing a lot of thrifted treasures, then people are like, "Where are your thrift hauls?" And then I do a thrift haul, a bunch of those. And so I'm still trying to find a happy balance of what I'm showcasing each week, but I'm loving it, you guys. And I know that when I started going live, people were very concerned that I would stop doing my videos, and that is never going to stop because I enjoy YouTube so much. It is like my number one social media platform that I love being on. YouTube, yes, there is an algorithm, but it's still it's for you guys. It's for you, the viewers. You make the algorithm of what you want. And I want to put out content that you guys love and like want to watch. So that's why I love receiving comments. But what I do not love, and I am just gonna let you guys all know, is I realized that nobody likes unkind comments or remarks, but there's always a way to make a comment that is not mean. You don't have to be mean to give good criticism. You can say it in a nice way. And I've only had to block, like, I think 2 to 3 people, like officially block them because of how cruel they really were. But very early on, I realized that I am just not everyone's cup of tea. And really, if they don't like me, they can just move along, if they don't like my sing songy voice. So I had been given that comment several times that I have a sing songy voice. Honestly, you guys, I have no idea what that actually means. And I think my voice kind of goes up and down, and I have a Wisconsin accent, but I don't know. I just still to this day laugh. I laugh about it because I'm like, it is what like, one lady actually asked if I could talk normal. And I think I did finally respond to her saying that this is how I talk, and I'm talking normal. But, like, that is to me, like, just not necessary. So, you just as a YouTuber, you just become accustomed to dealing with comments like that, and just realize that there's so many good comments out there and so many amazing viewers that are there to be inspired by you, and you're not going to please everyone. So that is my takeaway on YouTube, and I love it. And I would never change my journey. On April 5th of this year, I will have been on YouTube for 3 years. I look back and I'm like, I feel like it was yesterday that I started the channel and I was doing the research, and look where I have come. I have come so far, and I want to keep growing it, and I want more and more people to find out about me, and I want to keep inspiring people. So again, it just, as your small business grows, all areas of, like, YouTube will grow differently. Everything is ever changing. And I have seen some comments say, like, your channel has changed so much. Yes, it's because I have grown as a creator. I have grown as a small business owner. So my channel is going to change with the growth of my small business and me as a creator. Like, I wanna do different things, and that's it's ever changing. So, I think some people want things to stay as is, but nobody can just stay stagnant the way it was, like, at the beginning. You have to change and grow. So with that, um, so that was really a wrap of this episode and how I became a content creator. Now, in next week's episode, I'm really going to dive into how I went from just creating, videos on YouTube to expanding to all my social medias and opening up my online store and upgrading my website, and really that growth or that change in my business and how that has affected my small business as well. So I really do hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode of how I became a content creator. And then if you are watching on any of the podcast platforms, or I should say listening on all the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss out on an episode. And you guys can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sonnet's Garden Blooms, where I am going to start putting out sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. And I put out a ton more content over there. All right. Well, I hope you guys again enjoyed today's episode, and we are going to see you guys next week. Bye.